Okay, hello everybody. George Webb here, still in Lake Coeur d'Alene, still in Coeur d'Alene here to the city to our left. Still waiting for information from the sheriff. This isn't going to be one of those deals where everybody just takes down the notes. Oh, he was a Trump supporter. The Brony kid, the kid devoted to this little My Little Pony cartoon character that supposedly held down these 300 guys. We're not going to accept that story. It's a ridiculous story. We're not going to accept all the inconsistencies of Swiss cheese story that the sheriff has given us. And it's kind of reminds you of the waiting out the sheriff in the movie Mississippi Burning, where the FBI agents just hung around and kept asking for new records. We're going to go for the records of the 5 vans. Maybe we were a little aggressive in our first records request. We went for all the cameras, the dash cams and the body cams and the helmet cams and the helicopter cams and the drone cams. This next one, we're just going to go, where was the van? Where were the 5 interactions with the sheriff, with the van before? Where was the van on the 6th occasion? Maybe we're going to go for radio traffic after that. We're going to size down, but we're not going away. This is sort of like Mississippi Burning in the sense that we're going to wait out the sheriff. The sheriff has to come clean. It's a part of the Public Records Act. It's a public right to know. We don't want to embarrass anybody. We don't want to hurt the family. We don't want to bring back bad memories for the family. All we want to know is the story of who Brony Boy really was. And we have the Washington Post. And the reason why this is so important is we have the Washington Post out there saying he's a Nazi. And he's trying to compare the Nazism, this fake narrative, with being a Trump supporter. And this is all back to this Aryan Nation fake false. When I see the school plays over and over, I say, no, we're not going to do school play again. We're going to get the information. We're going to put it out there. We're going to fact everybody. Everybody benefits. And that's what journalism really is.
Hello. There we go. Oh.
How are you?
Hello, welcome to Neighborhood News. George Webb investigates.
Hey,
Corley,
Mark.
in Idaho.
Yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
Mark. Hey, Aaron, how are you?
Hey, good. So what's the latest? What's happening?
Well, as I said in the video, I put in a new request. I put in a new request for everything before the shooting. There is a provision in the Idaho Public Records Act that if something could be tremendously disturbing to family members, let's say the body cam or the dash cam of the police officers being shot or the firemen being shot, that would have triggered maybe a denial of the request. The request was first delayed that I made there, and then it was denied. So what I did is I said, okay, let's take everything that happened the day of the shooting with the Brony Boy here. This is the guy who held down 300 guys with, all the, military battle rattle, helicopters, dogs, you name it. Let's get rid of all that. And just tell me about the 5 interactions the police had with him before that. There was 5 interactions. We don't know if it happened over a year or 5 interactions over a week, but 5 interactions where he supposedly was living in his van over the last 18 months. Where were those locations? And the reason why I said it in the email, in the Twitter, the reason why this is important is the Washington Post is saying this is a Nazi. This Brony Boy here, this is his video. They're saying he's a Nazi. He's a danger to, he held down 300 people. He is the new Aryan Nation, right? This kid held down 300 guys, full battle rattle, Black Hawk helicopter was available, sniper copters, because the Brony Boys are Nazis. Nazis are Brony Boys. Brony Boys are Nazis, which to a lot of people seems ridiculous that somebody who's so into fetishing into this cartoon character for children, more for girls than boys. Sort of Hasbro makes Barbie as well as Little Pony. It's almost like Barbie's Little Pony is My Little Pony. So to have somebody so involved in that toy, that Hasbro toy, just doesn't appear to be the Nazi that the Washington Post is making him out to be. They also made him out to be a Trump supporter because his stepfather worked for the State Department, our diplomatic security services. So what we're trying to do is knock down the false narrative. The same people that were here in Coeur d'Alene 24 years ago, in the same location in Hayden Lake, in the same location, created this whole Nazi narrative 24 years ago, that there was this horrible group of people that were horrible Nazis and so forth. And it turns out they were all being fed by federal dollars as a federal informant. Richard Butler was a federal informant. He worked for the CIA. He was the cultural attaché for the CIA. That's a euphemism if there ever was one. Richard Butler was a cultural attaché for the CIA in the previous Aryan nation. And looks like they're hitting your internet.
We've been, we lost. I think we're gonna have to work on the bandwidth here. The 5 p.m. Eastern time is we didn't use time. But yeah, hey, yes, I don't know. Do you want to put
George, are you?
I'm getting about every other word. Can you repeat what you said?
Yeah, I think we're just going to abort here. Mark,
I wanted to
okay,
throw a couple things you can maybe choose. And I was just like, about the Washington Post, okay? It's like, is there a newspaper in Coeur d'Alene? Is it part of a syndicate, that operated by the globalists? Because this story locally, and there should be some good press, good in the local press. And then the other thing was like a gay bar in this town that people would be familiar. Information out is who he could have been with or what.
Well, Mark, thank you, because you're an old beat reporter, and so you know how to do this gumshoe stuff. And the gay bar I hadn't thought of. I don't go to gay bars, so I don't go to bars at all anymore. So I did in my previous life many, many moons ago. But so that's a good idea. He's only 20, so he wasn't old enough to drink. But I've gone to a lot of places of anybody who knew him. He didn't really seem to live here. He seemed to be almost living an informant's life in Priest River. We lose the audio, but we lose a video camera. Yeah, sorry about that. So is this kid living in Sandpoint, Idaho? We think he was. I did go up and case some of the places in Sandpoint. We want the interactions. We want the interactions from the police, because when you have 4 wellness checks by the police in less than a year, plus a 5th interaction, it's almost like you're checking in on your informant, right? Some of these police chiefs don't check in on their children 4 times a year. And this police chief checks on this guy 4 times a year in his van. And it just makes you think he's an informant. And it just makes you think the story is totally concocted. His gun, he doesn't have a gun. He doesn't have a gun, that shotgun that supposedly he has that's thrown by him when he gets shot. Doesn't match the serial number. So the serial number doesn't match. There's not shotgun wounds. There's rifle wounds. So it almost seems like they're taking one informant, which is sort of an alpha male, potentially, this Travis Decker, who is a mass murderer, who knows how to live in the woods, who does fit the profile of the shootings, who could possibly hold down 300 guys because he knows how to cache weapons in different locations and move between different locations to make it look like a small army, right? He does have that sort of training. It looks like that guy got away, and it looks like they shot this guy instead. If he even died, they could have just put in we don't even have the autopsy for this kid yet. They could have just substituted another informant, a beta informant. This looks more like an entrapment informant, like Mark said, on how you would try to entrap someone into a gay relationship to meet some kid in a van, and then you would arrest the adult. Now, then he turned 20, so then I don't know what they did with him after he turned 18. But this seems like two informants being used here in this story, and there's no evidence. So the sheriff has concocted this narrative, but there's no evidence to support the narrative. And so that's what I'm here to do, is say, is there any evidence that the sheriff's going to give? Is he going to? We don't know even the license plate of the van. We've been given a very rough timeline, a very, very rough timeline of there was a 9/11 call made at 1:20. These emergency vehicles were trying to go up this road. They were trying to go up this road supposedly to put out a fire. And in that going up the road, they encounter this kid's van. And then with the van is blocking the emergency vehicles going up the road. So supposedly they argue for 30 minutes. 30 minutes they argue. And then the two battalion chiefs then come up, kind of sort of like having, the top dog come up to tell him to move the van. And they get in an argument with him, and then those two guys are killed. The two battalion chiefs are killed, and then a third technical expert is killed. Then everyone kind of runs and takes cover until 3:15. So an hour and 20 minutes go by with the sheriff is saying they're taking fire. It's like an army, a small army, shooting at them. At 4:30, another hour later, 2.5 hours later, the sheriff says there's still two guys, maybe three guys, maybe four shooters, right? And then at 9:30, 5 hours later after that, they say the shooter's been neutralized, and it's one guy. It's the Brony boys. So the thing shifted so quickly. They left the impression that it was a bunch of Aryan Nation guys that were left over from 24 years ago that were firing down because they hated firefighters. They hated firefighters. They're Nazis. They hated firefighters in the same spot in Hayden Lake, right there on the foot of the mountain. And they were trying to kill firefighters before July 4th. And they left that impression for 6.5, 7 hours. And then at the very end of the saga, at the very end of this drama, at 9:30, then they announce it's one guy. It's the Brony boy. They wouldn't even announce who it was. They never mentioned that there was a mass murderer named Travis Decker who had killed his own children. He'd killed 3 of his own children. This Travis Decker that was on the loose, last seen in the woods in Oregon, they killed his own children. They never mentioned him as a possible shooter, and they didn't mention him that day. They left the impression all the way to the next day. All the way to the next day press conference where they finally said it's the Brony boy. And they didn't come out with a picture. They just said his name. We had to go get the pictures. We had to go get the videos. We had to show the world that he was a Brony boy. And we had to then, by then the story had kind of faded away. Oh, it's only one shooter. There's no more shooters. Don't worry. You can go back to your houses. You can go outside now. But at the end of the day, they never came clean on the Brony boy. We see him here in this video almost looking like he's giving a fish fellatio. The fish looks like it's achieving an O, I guess, as they say. And it spawns more Brony boys. The ejaculate spawns more Brony boys. I don't know how else this could be other than some kind of gay baiting, as Mark said. I don't know how you could look at it in some other way and say, this looks like gay bait. This looks like he's being used as a gay lure. That's the only way you can look at it. None of this was given by the police chief, and none of the details of when these 5 interactions these wellness checks. None of those details have been given. And so I filed a FOIA today to try to get those details. And I'll throw it back over to you guys, and I hope you can hear me.
You looking for us? Can you see us there? Yeah, I think there. At least you got a good monologue in. I don't know.
I think we
we'll
might
probably
want
try to.
Yeah, try
Yeah.
again some other time.
Yeah, probably later in the evening. I don't know. Or did you have something to get it in here, Mark? Real quick. I'll call you on the work on a time that work PM Eastern. Doesn't work here locally. We're gonna shut case with us and George. Certainly, the high case is very fascinating. The story is certainly not concluded yet. Well, here I'm gonna wrap it up here with the song while we can. So thanks for all for being here, and see you next time.